And now it's time for Rugby League.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode on NRL Insight UK with me, your host Dan Lee. This is a very special episode today, an inaugural one for the channel. It's the first one-on-one interview that I'm going to be doing, so I thought I had to get a special guest in. The guest has had an incredible rugby league playing career, coached in league, coached in union. He has been a managing director at a club. He has done it all in rugby league and rugby union. It's none other than Mike Ford. Mike, how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me on, and I feel very privileged to be your first live interview.
Well, thank you for joining me. So what's happening in the current life of Mike Ford then, right now?
As people will be aware, I've left Oldham Rugby now. Left on the 1st of February after the London Broncos game, which I feel we should have, the score should have been a little bit closer. In the game, there's a 12-point turnaround momentum, and where we were close to their line interception, and they go the full length to create more gap in the score and stuff. So, we've actually, although I left in February, I still own part of the club. I still have some shares, and they went for about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Terry Flanagan, as people will know, is a former Oldham great. He's now the chairman and leading the club. So for me, it's been a little bit of a rethink. Do I need to go? Do I want to go back into the game? Do I want to do some consultancy?
Yeah.
I've got 3 boys, as you know, and they're all into rugby union. Do I just help them along their careers like I've always done? I'm in a place where I'm just figuring it out. There's a clothing company that's probably not out there in the public yet, called Marginal, MGNL, sorry, and that's promising. Of what they're trying to develop is a world-class clothing that sits underneath the main kit. So I'm talking to them about helping them get into rugby. Yeah,
nice one. For your next role, if one comes about, would you prefer it to be league or union, or do you not have a preference?
I've not had a preference. I like to think. I like to think it'd be an executive role. I like, not necessarily, being in the championship, training nights and being that coach. I'm 60 now, and you like going back 25 years.
Yeah, time to wind down.
Although when I did it with Oldham for that short space of time, after the first training session, which actually bucketed it down with rain, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? I quite enjoyed it. The changing room bit, the coaching bit, the camaraderie bit with the players and the staff is why I've been in sport so long. But I can't answer your question really. Whatever opportunity comes up, I like it to be like a consultancy position, executive position,
Yeah, no, totally understand. I'm sure wherever you end up, they'd love to have you on board, whether it's in rugby league or rugby union. There's quite a lot to get through. We're going to do a bit of career breakdown, your playing career. See if you can tell us any stories along the way. Life after rugby league, which is kind of 2002 onwards. I think you retired in 2001 from playing. So all your coaching within union, and then we'll touch a bit on the Oldham stuff. For the stuff that you can speak about. So we'll start off with Wigan Warriors. I think they were just Wigan at the time when you started there. You played 85 appearances for them, 24 tries, 1982 to 1986, Challenge Cup winner in 1985. Talk us a bit through how the Wigan opportunity come about and who were the sort of players that you played alongside, and how your time there was.
Yeah, I actually wanted to be a footballer, and when I was 15, I signed for Oldham Athletic as a schoolboy, and I had to make a decision. Didn't have to make a decision, but got advised to make a decision, like concentrate on one sport. So when I was 15, I just concentrated on football. And I wanted to be an apprentice. Didn't happen when I was 16. Oldham Athletic wanted me to be an amateur, carry on their books.
Yeah.
And my dad said to me, why don't we start playing rugby again? Do you know what I mean? So I actually, give me some sound advice. I went to 17 at the time, but went to play for St Anne's under 19s, Oldham St Anne's under 19s. Great pack. They'll protect you. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I always remember the first game back, we played away. Can't remember who we were playing. I got beat up a little bit, but I carried on playing. And on the Thursday night, I get a call from John Robinson, one of the Wigan directors.
Right.
Like, would you like to sign for Wigan?
Yeah.
Like one game back after 12 months.
So was you shocked at the time when that call came through?
Yeah, because it's new. It's new to I was, my dad were a plumber. We've never been in them sort of environments and sort of negotiations and what happens next. We had no advice. Next news, they're in my lounge with a checkbook. And I got my dad to go out and ring Oldham Rugby up.
Yeah.
Because I still wanted to sign for them.
Yeah.
That was my passion.
Your allegiance.
Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
They made an excuse. They didn't say no, but they didn't say yes. So next news, I'm signed for Wigan. Travelling over with Ensign Gill, one of the great players at Wigan.
Yeah.
Had an habit of not turning up for training. So Alex Murphy, the coach at the time, hired a taxi. So he went to Huddersfield where Henderson lived.
Yeah.
And then to make the money worth its while, they popped into Oldham, picked up Nicky Kiss, myself, and Martin Foy. So there were four of us for a while travelling in a taxi to make sure that Henderson got on training on time. Yeah. But it was very life consuming, that taxi, with some sort of stories that the boys were telling me about. Match days and games and the way things operated and stuff. And it's like if I explain what it was, it's very, very much old school, very old school.
Yeah.
No, it was, in my time, we had a successful period.
Yeah.
It was at the start of the dominance, I think.
Was this at the time when Wigan were the only professional team and everyone else was semi-professional at the time?
No, we were. In my time, we were still Tuesday, Thursday, never. Yeah. So I think I left in 87, but up to then, they were still training twice a week.
Yeah.
I think it was I like to think it was the 90s, or the more players they signed, the Joe Lydons, Andy Gregory's, the Ellery Hanleys, the Andy Goodways, the more them people didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had a news agents, kind of stuff, so at that time, we were still very much part-time. And I know they were probably the first team that did weights properly, strength and conditioning program, which, accelerated them to do what they did. But I had some great times there.
Yeah. I love hearing all these older stories, because obviously the people who's in my age, they get them from the fathers or the granddads. So to hear it from first hand, it's really interesting. Who would you say had the biggest impression on you as a person and as a player? Because you obviously at the time, was you about 18, 19? You were a young lad, wasn't you?
Yeah, I made my debut at 17.
Yeah.
But I really got into the first team at 18.
Yeah.
17, I was in and out. But the biggest impression were just being in that environment. When Ellery came, he stepped it up a level.
Yeah.
The single-mindedness and the concentration he used to show during the game. I can't remember him making a mistake.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And he was just a phenomenal leader. Not so much what he said, but the actions that he did. And then, he brought people along with him. We also had Dean Bell there, who was also a superb leader.
Yeah.
And then you throw in Andy Gregory's and the Andy Goodways and Joe Lydon's, Sean Edward.
Would that filter out to the rest of the squad because them standards are so good, so high? Yeah.
Tell you a story. I think it was Andy Gregory, Andy Goodway broke through. I'm on his shoulder, 2-on-1 with a fullback, and then just as he passes the ball, I get knocked out of my way, and it was Ellery. He shoulder charged me out of the way to take. That's how hungry he was for tries, and he scores, and he comes back and he picks me up, and he's laughing.
Yeah,
he's laughing
because he could see it unfolding from behind. Yeah. Love it. So you won the Challenge Cup in 1985. Talk us through that, the emotions, the feelings, how proud it made you.
Well, a long time ago, isn't it? All my family were there, so you always wanted to play at Wembley, didn't you? I was lucky enough to play there as a schoolboy in 1977, second row. But to go and do it on that stage, which I think it was one of the last games, it was before seats came in, all-seater stadiums. So there were like 99,000 there.
Unbelievable.
Red on one end, black and white on the other. And the game just unfolded, lovely sunny day. The first 10 minutes, I'm thinking, how are we going to get through the 80? Because, you didn't get your second wind and stuff, and you have doubts about how you're going to do this. But then you go into subconscious mode and just play rugby. So, and it was a great day because of the spectacle. They get in front, we come behind, and then they make that fantastic fight back.
Yeah.
But you just remember it. I remember walking down there's footage of this, about walking down because we weren't doing weights then, 1985. I weren't doing any weights. And I was walking down after lifting the trophy, I was walking down. I was one of the last, and I was holding the trophy, and I tried to lift it because in every trophy, the Challenge Cup, I tried to lift it above my head, and I couldn't do it, so I potentially just put it back down again. It was great memories.
Love it. After your Wigan stint, there was a sole appearance for the Eastern Suburbs. How did that come about? What was the experience like? And obviously for the viewers, Eastern Suburbs is now Sydney Roosters.
Yeah.
The tricolours, and I know it's only one appearance, but a lot of people would bite your hand off just to play one game for the Eastern Suburbs. So do you remember that?
Well, yeah, a couple of... Well, first of all, it was John Ferguson. Ferguson, Chicka Ferguson, played on the wing, had a season with Wigan, had a brilliant game in that final, scored a couple of tries in that Challenge Cup final. Arthur Beetson, famous coach in Australia, rang up John and said, look, would ask Mike if he wants to come back with us. I think it was Laurie Spina, if everyone remembers, the halfback for the Roosters in them days, or Eastern Suburbs. I got a 12-week injury. Would I come as cover as a 19-year-old?
Yeah.
I said, where's my plane ticket? Let's go. So I was actually, this is before the news age. My dad was a plumber. I was going to college, learning everything about plumbing. So I just literally down tools, jumped on a plane, and I never thought of plumbing again. And when I got there, Dean Bell was there in that organisation. Hugh McGann, I don't remember Hugh McGann. He was a fantastic New Zealand captain. So we had a good team together, and basically in them days, I'm not too sure if they do this now. You'll tell me this, but they played the reserve grades. The under-23s first, the reserve grades second, all on the same day.
No, I think it's more set out for the New South Wales Cup and Queensland Cup now, so they have all them sort of younger ages playing against each other. The only sort of trial games they have is at the start of the season, so they just play the first team of another NRL club, 3 weeks trial period. But generally, the first 2 weeks, they don't put anyone in. It is normally the kids or people who are lacking fitness. But it's kind of a thing of the past, because they did that over here as well, didn't they? Like Wigan, Saints, Warrington, they'd all play their own reserves or younger age groups.
So you play. I started in the 23s, got upgraded to the reserves because who was a guy who got the first team halfback? Oh, Hastings. Gavin Hastings. No, not Gavin. He played for but a Hastings guy, I can't remember his first name. I'm thinking every week you play reserve grade and then sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your position got injured, you're on. So I'm thinking, like, in 12 weeks, he's not going to play every minute anyway. He did. He played every minute until the last game before I went back, or the last game of the season, we played Canberra away, and Arthur Beetson said, listen, look, I'm going to put you on today. So he put me on for the last 30 minutes, which was great of him.
Yeah, for the experience.
Yeah,
and
for the experience.
While you was there and you was in the training camps, you were playing at the lower grades. Did you even see then in mid 80s, I think it was, or late 80s? Did you see a difference in how difficult or the pace of it, or was it pretty similar to the game over here at that point?
No, I saw a difference. Just the core skills, Dan, for me was like everybody tackled the same way. Everybody had a superb tackle technique, and everyone could catch and pass, and everyone was tough.
Yeah.
You didn't survive in that environment unless you're tough. You could physically give it out and physically take it and stuff like that. So it was very much a step up, definitely, back in them days.
Because they just seem to set the standards and the bar so high for the younger ages over there, and I feel like that's why in our main game now in the Super League, you see a lot of people getting the head in the wrong position and it cleaning them out. Because obviously, if you put your head on the wrong side while you're tackling, hit their hip, it's gone. And you see it. It's very rare that happens in the NRL. So that them core skills that you're talking about you see it even in the main game, even today. And I'm thinking, how are we so far behind even on that scale?
I went back, as you know, in 95, 96, I went back to Australia, to South Queensland Crushers, inaugural team in the NRL. And I like to think when I was at the Roosters, I like to think that, if I would have stayed in this environment, I would have eventually got the first team.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity came, I thought, all right, I'm going to prove myself here. And I think it was even harder.
Really?
I mean, I was 28, 29, experienced, do you know what I mean? Understood the game. And I found it even harder. And even them back in 95, 96, they weren't full time like they are today. We trained at night. We trained near enough every night.
Yeah.
My job during the day was a development officer, and I used to go around schools because I love coaching. And I'm thinking, we do tackle technique, and there were kids at 11 years old, 12 years old. As they're hitting, they were leaving the ground. They were like pushing off from the studs in the ground and smashing. I'm going, oh my God, they're better than me. Everyone who knows me, I want the best tackler in the world. But and I just think that they've got it right through their coaching courses, through the way they develop coaches. I mean, if you look at Saddleworth Rangers, it's just around the corner now, and you look at the under 9s, 10, 11s, they're all dads.
Yeah.
They're all volunteers.
Yeah.
They've not been through any necessarily. I'm not saying, of course, some have been. They've not been through a coaching course. And,
no.
It
just seems to be that it's an afterthought. And if you're good enough and you've got that raw talent or size at a young age over here, you're generally going to get picked up. Whereas over there, you've got to have every single detail ticked.
Yeah.
Tackling, ball handling skills, everything. You've got to have a certain standard. And I feel like that's where we need, obviously, once the funding comes into the game, we hope it comes into the game over here. That's what they need to drill money into the younger ages and improve.
Unless we will, what is it been now? 30, 40 years since we won the Ashes. And what is it?
It's more than that.
72 or whatever it is, 50 years. And like, whatever we've done has not worked.
No.
So for me, and I had a conversation off camera with you just before we went on air about England Rugby Union and the way Owen Farrell and Howard George stood out at junior level.
Yeah.
They stood out at junior level because they were brought up in rugby league and they had the core skills, right? They had good core skills. And the chief exec to the RFU at the time asked me what I would do. I said, I wouldn't, I'll go straight back to the beginning. to your pathways, to the way you coach the players. I wouldn't play rugby union until they were 12 and 13. I'll get, can they carry? Can they catch? Can they pass? Can they tackle? And I'll get that core skills into them at a very, very early age.
Yeah.
And make sure that your pathway coaches are well developed. They're continuously improving as well. So, and I think that, as you just mentioned, if that money comes into the game in the NRL, they should look at, right, going straight back to the grassroots.
Yeah.
How is that coached?
Yeah.
You know, is there enough money going into to develop the coaches?
Because it does seem like, what can we do for a quick fix all the time? And instead of, right, we're going to invest in the younger ages, we'll plough revenue into this, and then we'll look at 10, 20 years time down the line, the competition starts improving, the core skills improves, and then obviously your national team improves because of all the below. And I just think the setup's wrong.
Yeah.
And it needs to improve, or something needs to happen. We're hoping obviously this NRL deal comes off for whatever it may be with the Super League, because the revenue streams now are just, it's a massive gulf. And everyone's goes into the world like it's a World Cup year. Everyone's going in positive as we should, but it's normally the same outcome that happens, that we're so far off them because
a bit like England football.
Yeah, yeah. We're banking on our players playing in the NRL, because that straight away, the pick straight away, because of the playing against that opposition week in, week out, and that's nothing taking away nothing from the players over here. There's a lot of good players, English-based players that are over in the Super League. Mm. It's just if you've got that tough opposition every week and not every other week, it makes a difference.
Of course it does.
So
yeah,
we digress. The South Queensland Crushers as well. That is now where the Dolphins are based. Because obviously the Crushers didn't work out. I think they didn't last very long, did they?
They got done with the Super League war.
Yeah.
So the couple of seasons that were there, or one season and a half, it was a Super League war, and they positioned themselves with the NRL.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other was a Super League teams. And when they came together, they were one of the teams that got extinction.
There was another English player that went over with you at the same time, wasn't there?
St. John Ellis.
Yeah.
He scored, we had a great season at Castleford in 93, 94. He scored something like, I can't remember, 50 tries.
Yeah.
And the coach, Darryl van der Velde, God bless his soul, he's no longer with us, but he brought myself and St. John Ellis,
yeah,
over to the Crushers at the same time. He became the chief exec to the Crushers.
Was he?
Castleford, yeah.
Yeah. Was he a good teammate to be around, Singe?
Singe, yeah, he was funny. Yeah. He was. He's one of them characters that every changing room needs one.
Yeah.
Doesn't perceive as though he cares a little bit about hierarchy and establishment and being on time and doing what everybody else, the conformative and stuff. He was great around to ease the pressure, to have a laugh and like, all credit to him when he crossed that white line. He could turn it on as well.
Yeah.
He became one of the longest serving coaches at the time. He coached Doncaster in the Championship. I was coaching Oldham the first time. Obviously, I went to Rugby Union, but he was there for a very long time.
Yeah,
until he's no longer with us.
No, there was quite a few Origin players as well that they signed. It wasn't at the same season that came over to you. I think there was at least 3 or 4 Origin players that were in there
for the Crushers.
Yeah.
Mario Fennick.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Bob Linder.
Yeah,
was a captain. Sorry, was Bob Linder the captain? I think Darryl was supposed to be the coach, chief exec, while the new franchise got set up. Then he was going to be coach. The chairman said, "Look, no, we need you to be the chief exec for at least another couple of years."
Yeah,
so that we get settled and stuff. So they made Bob Linder coach. He stopped playing. Mario Fennick became the captain. But we had Dale Shearer.
Because I know Clinton Shukovsky came, but I think that was the season after you had left. I think
it was.
Obviously, he's a massive name. Was he there when you came?
Clinton? No, I think he was there when I was there.
Was he? Because he was an incredible player.
Brad Tessman.
Yeah.
Dale Shearer was fantastic as well.
Was he an international?
Dale,
Shearer?
yeah,
he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, all these names that it's much easier nowadays to see footage of players that were playing 10 years ago, 50 years ago, but trying to find the footage from that era is difficult.
My favourite platform's YouTube, where you can just, type in State of Origin 1985 and there they are,
watch
bashing each other.
How physical it was. Yeah. No, I love it. So just run through them quick. You had in between the two stints over in Australia, there was 27 appearances for Leigh, 157 for Oldham, 18 for Warrington, 163 for Castleford, and 24 for Wakefield. I don't know how the timeline works. I think
don't forget Bramley.
And Bramley, yeah, of course. That's towards the end, though, isn't it? That's towards the end. We can't miss them out, because your total career stats was over 500 appearances, 519 to be exact, 143 tries, and 29 field goals. You liked a field goal then?
Yeah, I think you missed Miss Bramley stats out there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. I think Rugby Union, like, they were 3 points, so they take them more regularly, don't they? But I only ever took them, I think, to go another score in front.
Yeah.
It's a draw. You want to just grab a drop. But yeah.
One appearance for England, 2 appearances for Great Britain. Talk us through them and how proud of a moment it is when you eventually get there.
Before that, 88, I went on the Lions tour. Andy Gregory replaced me, so that's why I went to Leigh, because I didn't want to play second fiddle to. It's not that I wanted to play first team, and Andy was obviously the number one, and then Sean Edwards wanted to be an half-back too. I think he was a full-back wing at that time. So it put me in like third position, really. So I just wanted to play. You're a kid and you just want to have the fun and stuff. So I went to Leigh, and funnily enough, Leigh, I had half season with Leigh, and then I went to Oldham, and that the way I played for both them two teams got me onto the British and Lions in 88.
So you was in good form then.
So I'm now behind Gregory again. You know what I mean? But at the time, he was like standard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So was Leigh in the top division at that time? Yeah. But what was your time? What was the half a season with them like? What was the environment like?
Good. We was. I think it was the last day survival type season.
Yeah.
But I think at Leigh, Billy Benyon, everybody older than you will remember Billy, but
he was at Saints as well, wasn't he? Billy.
You're not coached the way you are today. There was very little game plan, very little tactics and stuff, but the motivation side of it was huge.
So did you find in that era that it was kind of more off the cuff and you play what you see?
Yeah. So if I thought it was right to chip over the top in my own 20, it was
encouraged.
No, it wasn't necessarily encouraged. Like, I knew there wouldn't be any stigma afterwards. I mean, I remember Darryl Vandervelde ringing me up. I was at Oldham at the time. Darryl was coaching Casper. Said, Mike, he says, I'm going to come for you. He says, I'm going to put an offer in. He said, but there were no chipping in your 20. That's what he said. And he was the first guy. He was the first coach that made me understand the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Completely. Yeah. But you had so much fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't really. I watched the game the other day, Dan. Anyway, I get man of the match in it. And how I got man of the match, I'll never know. I was kicking the ball out of the full. I was doing bad passes. I was missing tackles. But back in the day, if you scored a try or made a break or did something significant in the game, then you probably got man of the match. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm glad I didn't coach myself. And back in them days, that was a nightmare.
Yeah, because it seems like, to put it politely, you see some games these days and it's overstructured. There's not as much off the cuff. It's not encouraged. If you do, obviously, do a chip over the top and then you end up giving field position way too much, then it's frowned upon. So that, to me, from a fan's point of view, it takes a bit of the excitement out of it, because you want to see that. You want to see like a Mikey Lewis or a Jake Connor, whoever it may be, doing a chip over the top. The only one really that stands out at the moment is Bevan French in the Super League. He will try them sort of things. But I would imagine back in that era, every team had at least one or two players that would try them sort of thing.
And we had, there was some fantastic players. I mean, Greg, we talked about him earlier, Andy Gregory. He was fantastic for, off the cuff rugby.
Yeah.
You do need structure, of course you do. I went away from rugby league for 20 odd years, and I come back, and when I come back and start watching rugby league regularly again, all I saw was space on the field.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there was space everywhere.
Yeah.
Where in rugby union, like they have 3 people in the backfield.
Yeah.
They have 13 men on the feet, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In the front line, everyone defending from the first marker type situation. They're on top of you, and I'm thinking, oh my God. And rugby here, they're 10 meters back. They're nice and condensed. There's only one in the backfield, And I'm not there now, but what I tried to encourage is, where's the space?
Yeah.
Not what field position you're in, not what tackle is on the tackle count. Could we be different and find the space when it's appropriate to do that?
Yeah.
No,
completely get it. We'll move on to Oldham, because you had 2 separate stints as a player at Oldham. Were they both in the top division as well? There was because there was one at the end of your career as well, wasn't there?
Yeah. So the first time I played from we yo-yoed.
Yeah.
So we had 3 seasons, and we had 2 in the top, and in the middle we got relegated, got promoted. The second time we was dead set in the championship. The Northern Forward, I don't even remember that. It was just one division.
Yeah.
The winners went to the grand. The grand final winners went to Super League. So we lost in 2000 when I would play coach the second spell. In 2001, we played Widnes.
Yeah.
Neil Kelly with the coach, and we lost that game. They went to Super League, and we stayed in the Northern Forward. And that's when I, went across to the other cord.
Yeah.
Them times. So yeah, there were successful times, because the first one, I think we're in the second. Well, we were in the second division. We played 46 games in that year season. We won 40. We played 44 games. We won 38, but it was a very, very successful. We get to the final of the Lancashire Cup as a second division team.
Yeah,
and we lose and on that way we beat St Helens at St Helens. I'm going to say 35-0. I'm going to say 35-0.
Convincing. Yeah.
We beat Wigan in the semi-final at Watersheddings by a point, drop goal. And they went, all the big guns were out, were playing that night. We lost to the final, and then the Challenge Cup run, we beat Widnes along the way, who were the world champions. We beat Widnes at Norton Park back in the day.
I was going to say that was when with the Hume brothers in that team. A fire. It was an incredible team.
Solison,
that was. Yeah.
We beat them, and then we lost again to bloody Warrington. Sorry to swear, but that year Warrington, we lost them in a semi-final at Central Park, 10-6. Where famously we got a try to delay right at the death. And then we get promoted from the second division, and then we won the second division premiership that year as well. So it was a very successful season.
Who was in the Warrington team? Can you remember?
Mike Gregory, a captain.
Was he?
God bless his soul. Martin Crompton.
Was it one of them games where you should have won? It just wasn't. Nothing was working.
You look back on it, 0-0 at half time, which is unusual. Isn't it?
It is.
But we bombed. When I said we bombed, it wasn't just dropping the ball. It was we had opportunities. The scramble defence were really good.
Yeah.
We just couldn't quite get over the line. We go in front 6-0. Massive forward pass for the first try and the second try. We're behind, but we were by far the better team.
Yeah.
You don't know Oldham's history that we've never been to Boundary Park, never been to Wembley. That was the one year that and there's loads of other good stories.
Yeah.
Concerning Oldham not getting to Wembley.
Yeah.
But that was certainly up there with one of them.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I've seen them games. I've played obviously at lower grades, and I've been involved in them types of games, and you just know, you just have that feeling, especially when you would have got to half time in that game, 0-0, and you've probably bombed tries along the way, and you're thinking, is it going to happen today? Warrington, 18 appearances for them. What year would that have been?
So I come back from the Crushers, feeling a bit sorry for myself.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Yeah.
Went to Warrington still in that sort of mode. Alex Murphy replaced Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson resigned. Alex Murphy replaced him, and I think he needed to make a statement. So, he wanted me not to be there.
Yeah.
But then, you sit down and have a think about the career you were going in, the direction, sorry. And I soon realised that, the only person's fault it was my own.
Yeah. So
basically, I decided to just go back down to what I know best, is working harder than anyone else and stuff. Which got me eventually back to Castleford as captain, which had another great 18-month there.
Because over the course of your career, you made 163 appearances for Castleford. So did you enjoy your time?
Yeah, I think the first time was really good. And then I left to go to the Crushers with Darryl van der Velde and stuff, and the famous 1994 Regal Trophy final win against Wigan. The first time they've lost in a final, the first time they've never scored in a final, all these things. Yeah. And we beat them, I think, 33-2. So we were successful there as well, won the Yorkshire Cup, second to Wigan in Challenge Cup, second to Wigan in the league, second weren't bad in them days. But we were very successful. And then when I went back, we were a bit different. They were fighting relegation. We survived it. Then the year after, my last season as captain, and then I became a coach. Yeah.
Wakefield, 24 appearances for them. Was that a similar time? Did you enjoy your time at Wakefield?
Yeah, that's when I got Mitch Brennan with the coach, former State of Origin player, winger, very fast winger. Coached differently, actually. More on the mental side of it. I remember we had some real good chats. Yeah. About regaining my form, and it all come back there, all pointing to me. Yeah. So I had a fantastic pre-season. Do you know what I mean? Just put my head down. Yeah. Got back to what I know best. And that form, start of the season, Castleford came in for me and I went back there. Yeah.
You have picked up on it a couple of times that I haven't mentioned them. So let's talk about them. Bramley.
Yeah, it was along with going to Ireland Rugby Union. It's probably one of my better decisions. Although at the time you think, what have you done here? Yeah. But I remember Stuart Raper was coaching Castleford at the time. It was obviously a couple of good chats with him that I weren't going to be involved as much, so we decided to move on. Could have gone to Salford as a player, but I wanted to coach. And one of the vice presidents at Castle was also on the board at Bramley, and he goes, "Oh, come and play for us." I said, "Oh, I will do if you make me coach."
What was his response?
Yeah, so he said, "Yeah." So I knew they didn't want me as a coach. I was unproven. I knew they wanted me as a player, so I used that leverage, to be a player coach. And it was like, wow, it was a complete eye opener. Looking back though, you go to yourself, I had no pressure, I had no expectation. Nobody were watching what Bramley were doing. No, I could make mistakes. I could learn and reflect on these mistakes and learn pretty quickly. Because we lost, of course, third game in for Bramley, we lose to Lee Miners in the Challenge Cup, and we become only the third professional team. Yeah. To lose to an amateur at the time. Yeah. I remember the halftime team talk. We were 12-8 up, 12-6 up, sorry. 12-6. Don't worry, lads, these are amateurs. We'll get them with fitness. And we'll lose 18-12, They're great lessons. They were great lessons. And then, basically then, around about halfway through the season, we started knocking off. We started knocking all the top teams off. Yeah. OKR were running away with it. We were the first team to beat, because we played at Headingley. you won't remember that. We played at Edinley at the time. And I think OKR was something like played 16, won 16. And Lowley Bramley were the first to knock them off. And they went on to lose 6 on the run. After that, well, if Bramley can beat them, so can we. But we, the second half of the season, probably the last third of the season, I think we only lost one or 2 games.
Yeah.
And we finished very, very respectable.
So at that point, was you player coach or was you just solely the coach?
Player coach.
Was you?
Player coach.
Did you find when you first experienced that although there was no pressure on you, you could make mistakes, that it was very time consuming and mentally draining because you're doing both sides of it?
Yeah, I was lucky because I took it as a full-time job.
Yeah.
So there's only so much you can do when you're training twice a week and your analysis and things like that. But I had a lot of time to think, and I made mistakes coaching-wise, selection-wise, management-wise. You make mistakes like that, and you don't know you made a mistake at the time. And the one thing that you couldn't do as a leader, but obviously you do, was make a mistake on the field.
Yeah.
Because if you give an interception and they score, which happened, what do you say behind the sticks? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff as the leader.
Yeah.
So them moments were really difficult. But I
suppose it's an advantage though, because obviously you see it nowadays where the message comes from the coach in the stands to the physio to player. So if you've got that, you're right in front of him. It's a pro and a con, because if you've done something wrong, you've got to explain it. But for everything else, you're right in the midst of it, aren't you?
I've been the message boy.
Yeah.
You know, I went on the Lions as a coach. And with the rugby union side of it, and I had to run with the messages, and I'm thinking, I'm not running on with that message.
No.
It's like the worst message I could ever run on to. Yeah, I've given it on. Yeah. I've told them how to tackle, kind of stuff. So
does that go on in every game then, where it gets lost in translation?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I remember sending them. I was on this particular day. I was on the bench. I put myself on the bench.
Yeah,
I think I was coaching Oldham at the time, and my assistant John Henderson, he played for Leigh, and he played for Oldham, centre. Try scoring, perfect try scoring, and he was my assistant. I said, go on there and tell that John off. I said, tell him to start tackling low. I said, he's tackling too high. Tell him to start tackling low. Anyway, he trots on. He comes back off. I said, what did he say? He said he knows. I said, he knows. I said, he knows. Lost it a little bit. Get on there and tell him that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
That's why he's got the message, kind of stuff. But so he and another story, when he came on with a water bottle, I was actually on the field, and he came on. We've obviously discussed, because I couldn't make subs.
No.
I couldn't. So obviously he was in charge of the subs and stuff, and we come up with an outline plan of what to do and when to do it. But obviously nothing unfolds that way. And there was a scrum, and he came on and he wanted to ask me about the subs. He's all right bringing this guy on, and he put some water in my mouth, and he goes, all you did was spurt it back out at me, all over me. He said, oh, thanks for that. He turns around and runs off.
Love it. Would you say then that the Bramley and the Oldham player coach roles, was that the glue from your stepping stone from rugby league player to rugby union coach? Was that because you got obviously the first exposure at coaching? Would you say that set you up to move into obviously your union coaching?
I would. I don't know. Me and Sean Edwards, like I'm a year older than him, but our careers are pretty much, parallel and stuff.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves at 23, 24 on a coaching course at Loughborough.
Yeah.
Phil Larder, John Keir were doing it, kind of stuff. And it was unknown for A, player to be on it, B, players that young to be on it. So we both knew that we wanted to be a coach, kind of stuff. And that's why I asked the Bramley director, make me a coach. You want to be a coach, but you don't know if you can do it or not.
Yeah.
And the one thing you think when you're a coach is like, I've got this move in my back pocket here that nobody else is doing in world rugby. He said, when I be a coach, I'm going to bring it out, this play, this pattern, this structure. Like, and as you grow older and you get more experienced coaches, nothing like that. It's like that's 5% of coaching.
Yeah,
is obviously the tactical bit. You know, the man management and motivation and getting players to belong to something. Yeah. Get the environment, the culture to be excellent. You know, kind of stuff, and developing leaders along the way. All these things that you don't even think about when you coach.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So for me to be a player coach and go through all that experience of trying to double down on think both ways, still got to perform in the field because you're the mate, you know, kind of stuff. It was you don't think I'm going to do this because it's great and it's going to, you know, really develop me quickly. You know, it's just after, when you reflect, you think, oh, what a great grounding I had.
Yeah, because it's kind of alien to obviously my generation and below, because you don't see it anymore. You don't see player coaches. It's kind of two separate entities. But I feel like it's lost something, because it obviously gives it's a pathway into you know, coaching. It's, I don't know. I don't know if it'd ever come back. I know potentially some of the lower teams it probably potentially happens.
Like Mark Sneed signed for Salford next year.
Yeah, he's going to have a
like
hand
if you
in
don't
it.
have him as player coach, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, because I think there's a younger lad who's currently head coach, Dave Hewitt, I think his name is. So surely you'd want to extract as much out of him. So I would say at the lower grades potentially it would happen. But this was kind of mainstream, wasn't it? It's top level during that era.
I won't say top level, but
before we move on and leave your playing career, give me the top 3 players for raw talent that you had the pleasure of playing alongside.
Well, Andy Gregory, because he was in my position at the time when he was in his pomp. He was incredible. Ellery Hanley, probably number 1 at Ellery, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was just a different level than anybody else. And, you know, I believe he coached St Helens to a Super League win in whatever, 2000 or something. And all through the season, never touched football, never touched a rugby ball. At training, in a meeting or whatever he needed to do, he just never picked it up. He's so, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, and you might think, why have I mentioned it? Because he's so mentally focused.
Yeah.
If he decides to do something, he achieves it, you know.
Yeah. I suppose if you can get your message across in such a clear and motivational way, you wouldn't need to pick the ball up, because if they are hanging on every word that you're saying and it's making sense and it's working, they're going to follow you, aren't they? You don't have to be in the midst of it. Was you a hands-on coach?
Well, no, I think I was. I think I remember going to Ireland the first training session I did, and I was like pushing people out my way. Look, I'll show you.
Yeah,
because they couldn't tackle.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I weren't the best tackler. And then I realised when this guy was running at me that this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But look, 2001 I last played. If I was to coach now, or say I were coaching at the beginning of this season, like it's 25 years since I played, and things, although you think you know,
a lot changes.
A lot changes
at a fast pace as well.
You're on a training field, right, and you're getting in the way. And just a training, and you get in the way, and you're thinking, how did they ever play this game?
Yeah, I know.
The lads are bigger and faster and stronger, and
it's like, if you look at like the era I grew up in, had the likes in the Super League was your Paul Sculthorpe, Sean Long era, all that sort of Lee Breers. Obviously the Leeds dynasty, where they had Sinfield and Burrow, and they didn't have 6 agains, set restarts. So I would think they would find it very difficult, you know, because James Graham was the same, where they were the art and masters of wrestle, so they could hold you down just enough to not give a penalty away. As soon as you do that now, it's up straight away, 6 again, 6 again. And sometimes you see it 2, 3, 4 times of restarts.
But what I'll say to that, Dan, is if they played in this era, they just adapt.
You would adapt, but I mean, because they were so used to how it was, it's completely
when
different.
You play sport when you're a kid and you're good at sport, it can be play any rules.
Yeah.
Right? The teacher, the coach might bring a new rule in. If you're a sportsman with a good brain, You adapt straight away. You pick it up quicker. Oh, we best not do this because of this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, although the rules are different, if they would have been born now, that I think that, you know, they would still been a star.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, of course, that without doubt they would still be the star. I was looking more of an angle from once you've played 15 years ago to then trying to coach.
Oh,
or have an opinion on how that should be done, because
you think, for me, the biggest thing for me is the physical side of it, is, you know, to get, you know, telling a player to get stuck in, you know, to be physical for me, right? Because that was never part of my game.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So for me to stand there and say, right, lads, let's go and do this, and then looking at me going, what?
Yeah.
You're not played for 25 years. And then when you did play, you were. So I had to come up with something different. I have to come up with a different way of coaching, you know what I mean? Kind of stuff. So it's a challenge, because the way society's going as well, Dan, you know, the woke society, and the Z generation can't do this, and you can't speak to somebody like that, and you know what I mean? And when I reflect, and I've just been doing in my spare time, I've just been doing a leadership framework that I've learned over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
I've just thought, right, I'm going to make use of what I've done, and I've come up with this leadership framework. And it's more than you know, being tactical. It's more about, where you develop people, develop players, develop the environment, develop the culture. We talked about, we just previously talked about St. Helens, and maybe one or two things that have gone on there, like kind of stuff. And, you know, it's forever changing. And when I reflected on the leadership portfolio I've just done, or framework I've just done, not much what's relevant back then. Forget, you can't talk to people like that, and you can't treat people like this and this, that, like, is the leadership is still, the environments might change, the environments, and when the players were born, and you know, whether you're playing amateur or professional or international, the environments might, the environments might change, but the principles of leadership doesn't.
No.
That's what I learned. But
your techniques have to adapt, don't they? Because, for instance, like you just mentioned there, obviously with the most recent one was Rowley, Paul Rowley being moved on by Saints, or mutual agreement, however it's happened. If that was back in the 90s, he could have used completely different techniques to get players back on side. You could speak to him a bit more forcefully. You know, it's the one that sticks in my mind as well is most recently was Mikey Lewis getting his ban in a few weeks ago in the Warrington game. And Paul Cook on the podcast said, if that had happened 10, 15 years earlier, maybe back when he was playing, you know, a player on player would grab you and say, you know, you need to put your ideas up, or the coach would, whereas you can't do that now. So, I mean, you might be able to tell me a bit more on that, but it seems like, because you can't be that forceful and say what you want to a person inside a locker room environment.
What I'll say to you on that is, and I agree, that's the way the world's gone. That's the way rugby is at the moment. And I was speaking to our George, who's in the England camp. And he's saying the same things. You can't talk to players like you used to could talk to players, because they don't accept it, or they can't take the
criticism,
constructive feedback.
Constructive.
So then you go back to your principles of leadership, and you got to earn trust of the person. You got to have the connectivity where when you speak to them, they know that you're speaking to them for the right reasons to make you a better person, a better player. You know what I mean? But the difficult thing in that is when you're on the field, right, and the emotions are running high and stuff. It's like you don't.
It's hard to control it, because you want to. Sometimes it needs that reaction to get the reaction out of the player. And I mean, I understand, like, especially I'm 34 now, so anyone who's possibly 40s, 50s, a lot of people would struggle to adapt to how it is now, because even I grew up in that era where, and you benefit from it when you get told, yeah, it's not possibly nice during the little time that it's happening, or if it's in front of people, in front of your teammates, but you generally see a reaction, and I think it's lost. I think part of it needs to come back. It hopefully does full circle, and you can actually because you need to get your messages across sometimes.
Yeah, and I think one of my first, when Sean Long left Oldham, and his last game was a playoff game against Halifax at home, and we get a good hiding. I can't remember what the score was, but we get a good hiding. I think they were in the 40s when we were the favourites.
Yeah.
And I remember doing pre-season, and one of the first chats I had with them, and they got my monkey out. Well, my monkey's a thing that is not illogical and is a bit irrational, and a bit emotional and stuff. And I had to tell them. About that game. And this is like 8 weeks later, maybe 10 weeks later than they actually played it, the first week of pre-season. And I had to say, listen, lads, you need to hear this. You need, they've not been taught like that all season.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So in one way, I was letting my frustrations get the better of me. But in another way, when I reflect on it, I'm glad I did it, because they needed to know at that moment in time that what they produced last season wasn't good enough.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their excuses that they had.
Yeah.
And they were still playing. It's not my fault.
No, and like, obviously person by person is different. If that was me in that environment, I'd react and go, right, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you what I should be able to do. Whereas other people, they go into the shell or go defensive. So you have a bad reaction from a certain player, and that's obviously what's different now. It's a tricky one. Definitely digressed on this one, by the way. I was going for your top 3 players that you played alongside. I know you've done 2 so far. So Ellery Hanley, Andy Gregory.
I'm going to name one from Castleford, but whoever I name, I could name.
You're missing a lot out.
I could, but there were one guy called. I mean, Graham Steadman's very close to my heart about the way he was as a player, but Tuara Nikau, Lee Crooks is another, but Tuara Nikau was an exceptional player.
Was he?
He was tough. He had his own personal fitness instructor with him way back in the early 90s, which was unheard of. He could ball handle.
So he was ahead of the
force, and he was a leader.
He was ahead of the times then, if he was doing all that extra fitness work and stuff.
There was no one like Ellery, but a little bit of him.
Yeah. No, love it. It was very intriguing and interesting career. Met plenty of stories, probably plenty of stories you haven't told us as well. But just to run through your stats again, appearances 519, tries 143, field goals 29, total points 604. It's not bad.
You miss Bramley.
I know you. I'll have to add Bramley on. Apologies to Bramley. We're going to take a quick break now, and we've got Life After Rugby League for Mike Ford coming up. We'll get into that, so we'll be back in a moment.